The environment affects us all in a myriad of ways. How does it affect the politics behind conflict resolution? This research article entitled Does Environmental Peacemaking Between States Work? Insights on Cooperative Environmental Agreements and Reconciliation in International Rivalries by Tobias Ide explores the link between climate change and conflict. In this study, the dependent variable is the level of peace between states with environmental agreements. The independent variable is the conclusion of bilateral and minilateral environmental agreements. Ide says his hypothesis is the conclusion of cooperative bilateral or minilateral environmental agreements facilitates processes of peacemaking between states in conflict. These agreements are also called CEAs. How does he determine whether this hypothesis is true? First, we should define some terms for clarity. For this experiment, CEAs must have language about peacemaking and cooperation within the document. Rivalries are persistent long-term conflicts between two states. The political elites of these two states must regard each other as competitors, the source of actual or latent threats that pose some possibility of becoming militarized, and enemies. Peaceful reconciliation is the voluntary action of peace building without the use of military force. Three different data sets are developed by Ide to reflect the varying long-term effects of environmental agreements on reconciliation. He conducts a statistical analysis of these data sets and concludes that the results are stable for the whole population. This dataset analysis helps Ide come to the important conclusion CEAs help facilitate peaceful reconciliation in international rivalries, but only in the first 5 years of their conclusion. Next, we move on to a qualitative comparative analysis, or QCA. 4 causal components were examined in this QCA: environmental attention, political instability, agreement type, and military conflict. Each condition was given a 0 or 1 dependent on its relative presence or absence. This makes these 4 causal components dummy variables. Ide then goes on to explain how the presence of 3 factors, high environmental attention, absence of recent political instability, and the presence of a TBPA or Trans-Boundary Protected Area versus other agreement types provide a sufficient condition for a positive impact of CEAs on peaceful reconciliation between states. Ide then goes on to examine 6 individual cases for further examination of causality and to confirm his hypothesis. In all of the cases of reconciliation upon the conclusion of a CEA, the CEA was part or the result of large-scale environmental negotiation among the rival states. This shows that tradition and broad communication are important factors in the success of a CEA for peaceful reconciliation. The case studies highlight that internal political stability facilitates continuous cooperation and the buildup of trust and understanding between the rival states, while cooperation in the context of CEAs is buttressed by high environmental concerns of internal constituencies and external donors. This shows that at least 2 of the 4 causal conditions, political stability and environmental attention, were seen to be causal in real-world applications. These factors build a strong foundation for peace building through a CEA. Ide concludes that the simultaneous presence of high environmental attention, absence of recent political instability, and the presence of a TBPA rather than a freshwater agreement, provide a sufficient condition for positive impact of CEAs on reconciliation between rival states. Cooperation to help save the environment looks like it can save the political world as well. Environmental activism has implications beyond water, land, and air. It can also save us from conflict and build peace between rival states.